What is up, ladies and gentlemen? How we doing? How we doing? Yeah, we actually got faces. I figured it would all just be off camera, but we got people participating. I like it. How we doing? Where are we coming from? Throw it in the chat box. I need to know. I need to know who is hoping for snow and who already has snow and hates it. I'm hoping for snow. Come on, Southern girl here. You can tell. Hoping for snow. Snow in Ohio. So Andrew immediately hates me. Maria already hates me. 14 inches. Maria, where are you from? Holy moly. Okay, so I've got an entire mountainous and Midwestern crowd going on here. Not thrilled with the snow. Florida, see, they're wanting some snow. I know my snow people here. North Carolina, all we need is just a little bit, and then we'll be satisfied for the rest of the season. So if you guys in Minneapolis and Utah and Chicago, 14 inches, want to send some down to North Carolina and on down, we'll take some of the load off of you guys for a little bit. Okay, we'll enjoy some of your winter. Bring it on. Okay. All right, guys, you ready to roll? Can I get a thumbs up? Yeah, 20 inches of sunshine in Arizona. That one threw me for a second. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. All right, let's get rolling. You are not here to talk about snow, although I could do it all day long. What are we here to talk about today? We're talking about recruiting and making people stick with us for the long haul. Is everyone in the right room? Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I just want to say thank you all for joining any of these calls that you're participating in. It really does show that you're the ones who are focused on having that business boost here at the end of the year. Kudos to you. Kudos for not entirely checking out before the holidays entirely hit us in the face. So, who the heck am I? But well, before we get rolling, let me also say, while we are not talking lead generation, of course, we want to make sure that you guys know how to make TCPA compliant reach outs to your clients, potential clients, etc., everyone in between. If you've never seen this before, where have you been? But if you need to see it, go ahead, take a screenshot and make sure to read through it. Give it to your team members, the whole 9 yards. But again, we're not talking lead gen today. Who am I? My name is Leah Lemberg Welsh. I have been a MAPS coach since 2019. I've been doing this full time since 2019. Okay? So that means that all I do these days are have high-powered conversations with business owners like you guys, which is an absolute honor and privilege, and thank you for allowing me to do it. Generally speaking, I focus on working with large teams who tend to have a lot of people problems. Anyone out there who has large teams can understand, they're like, yeah, people problems. I totally understand that, right? One of the things that tends to come up in terms of people problems an awful lot is this little thing we call turnover. Anyone out there who has experienced hiring in their career, throw in the chat box if you've ever lost someone, whether you let them go or they left on you. Just an I or a yup or an ugh. Any kind of reaction like that, I'll understand. Yeah, yeah, okay. So if you're hiring people, people are going to leave you, or you will have people to fire at some point in time. You're not doing anything wrong. It just means this is just part of it. Here's the thing though. Cost of turnover is expensive. We know this inherently, but let me just quantify it a little bit. Generally speaking, when someone leaves, it costs us about 1.5 to 2 times their salary in time, loss of knowledge, in the time that it takes to hire and retrain someone new. Sorry, I have a dog exploding in the background in case you can hear that. We've got lots of sneezes happening back here. It costs a lot. Not only does it actually cost financial dollars, but it absolutely burns through your culture. If you have a revolving door, whether it's in the operation side or the agent side, it is felt. Your people feel it. There's a constant kind of looking over the shoulder or am I in the right place? There's a weirdness that happens. We experience this? Yes. Yes, right? And of course, if you have a constant revolving door and you are paying 1.5 to 2 times someone's salary just to get people in and keep them, it is going to eat into your profit margins. And who likes to keep their profit? I should expect to see a whole heck of a lot more hands than that. I like to keep my profit. Marla likes to keep her profit. Yeah, Colleen likes to keep her profit, right? So after years of working through this with clients, I came up with this thing that I call the loyalty loop. And you may have heard me talk about this before if you've seen me at family reunion or anywhere. I talk about this a lot. because it's a solution that genuinely does help to make the turnover carousel, the hamster wheel of turnover, slow down, chill out. The truth of the matter is that people who keep operations or agents over the long haul, it's not by accident. It's not because they just happen to stumble into an amazing, beautiful relationship with someone. They had a design to keep them. Okay. So there's 5 steps that we're going to go through. It's very simple. I do not create solutions to things that are complex. We're going to be looking at selection, integration, recognition, elevation, and retention. And my definition of what these words mean and how to institute them into your loyalty loop plan. Sound good? Okay. So what we're looking at here is, first and foremost, we're talking about select. We're hiring people intentionally. Has anyone had an agent or an ops person come up to them and say, oh my gosh, Gabby, I just so badly want to be on your team. I see stuff about you guys all the time. Please, 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 let me just join your team. Yes, it happens because you guys are high-powered agents. People come to you all the time and they say, I want to be a part of what you've got cooking. How many of us, you don't have to raise your hand, how many of us have hired one of those people and realized, oopsies, this was not a fit, right? And they left us. When we're looking to hire someone, we have to select not just for values. I'm sorry, not just for skills, but for values. We got to make sure there's an integration into who we're hiring, into our mission, into what we're looking to grow overall. I like to say, do they think like me or do they just work for me? Right? Everyone here, I'm hopeful, and if not, it's okay. You now know about it, knows that Keller Williams offers classes on this called Career Visioning and 30, 60, 90. And note that those are 2 classes, 2 separate classes that we should be taking together. Can't just take one, you got to take them both. And I highly recommend taking them over and over and over again and with different instructors. You'll get different little tidbits, right? Through career visioning, you're going to learn some skills. You're going to learn about behavioral interview questions to understand, how does someone actually behave? How do they think? How do they think through problems? You'll also learn, am I in an alignment with the mission of this person? Are they in an alignment with me and my mission? Or am I just really liking their resume? Here's the fact. Who all is aware of this thing called ChatGPT? Yeah, all of us, right? You know that ChatGPT can help to spit out a really nice looking resume, right? Resumes is not where we end our search. We don't go, they got all that experience, that's it, I'm hiring them, right? And then depending on who you're looking for, am I hiring a problem solver or a task taker? I make this sound like you only want problem solvers, and a lot of times you do, but you may want a task taker, and you need to have clarity of that. At the last Top Agent Mastermind in November that I had the chance to attend down in Austin, Gary said, and this is paraphrasing, but I think he would be pretty proud of the way that I paraphrased it. If you're still the creative for all of your solutions, you are more self-employed than you are running a business. When you're selecting people to join your organization, you got to ask yourself, am I hiring people who are going to help to be my co-executives? Because if I'm just hiring people to be doers, then I'm going to have to be the creative for all of my solutions. And I know you guys know this. That's exhausting. After a while, you look up and you go, gosh, I sure wish I had another adult in the room. Okay? So that's select. Any questions you have, I do have the chat box up and I'm ready to see what's happening. The next stage is integrate. Most of us hire people and then go, good luck. Go fix all my problems. That does not work. We must set them up for success. You can find the most amazing person, and if you don't set them up for success, they are destined to fail. You got to ask yourself, am I giving people what they need to perform, or am I throwing them in the deep end and just hoping that they can swim? So this starts, I just mentioned career visioning 30, 60, 90. This starts with 30, 60, 90. Having something that they can reference as to what it is they're expected to be able to accomplish at the end of 30, 60, and 90 days. and actually having meetings to go through with them to make sure that they're doing those things. I also highly recommend assigning mentors early. You don't have to be the mentor for everything, right? Gabby, you're on my screen, so I'm sorry. You're going to be my example over and over again. I can see you. I have an operations an agent who just hired a new operations person a couple days back, or a couple months back, I guess at this point. My goodness, and I know that he connected them immediately with Gabby, among other directors of operations, so that that person had a mentor, had someone that they could go to when they were frustrated with the Rainmaker or confused. Assign mentors early. Most importantly, I find that my Rainmakers think that the people around them are telekinetic, that they can, or what's the word I'm looking for there, that they can read minds. The people around them must be able to read their mind. Guys, you have to over communicate expectations, workflows, and I'm going to add in there deadlines. Explicitness, clear is kind. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm being too explicit, you're not. Claire Hughes Johnson was the CEO of Google for quite some time, or a higher up in Google, if not the CEO. She's incredible. There's a wonderful book called Scaling People that she wrote. It is thick. It is a textbook, but it is wonderful. She uses the phrase, make the implicit explicit. Anything that you think, well, obviously they should know blank. Nope. Make it explicit. Make sure that it is communicated. This is how we properly integrate someone in. So now we've selected the right person based off of exactly what I'm looking for and my values and my mission. And now I've given them exactly what they need to succeed. And I'm going to hold them to that. And I've been very explicit. So then what I'm going to do is recognize, this one's basic, when things are going well. Out of curiosity, if you are a high D personality type, or you believe yourself to have high D personality tendencies, throw a yes in the chat box. If you've ever been told you are a driver, or a little pushy, or don't have a ton of patience, Marla agrees. Yeah, Lonnie. Lonnie's in my area. Lonnie, are you also looking for some snow? Yeah, okay, we got a hearty laugh there from someone about it. So what ends up happening with us high D personality types, and even if you're not a high D, if you're a highly successful agent, is we tend to not sell people, I noticed that you did that and I really appreciate it. Hey, I saw that thing that you were working on and I'm really impressed. Catch them doing things right. It is a meditative practice to pay attention to what the people in your world are doing and to praise them for it. Right? Figure out, how do they prefer to be recognized? Some folks would absolutely blush and go hide in the corner if you publicly recognized them. Don't do that to them. Some people love public recognition. Absolutely do it to them, right? And then, of course, we're going to tie contributions back to business successes. There's a reason that they got into business with you, because remember, we selected based off our mission. And so if they know that the things that they're doing have a meaningful outcome, if you're able to say, because you did this, the business is going to be able to do this, that may really get them excited, right? This requires you knowing your people well. You see this? In order to properly recognize the people in your organization, this isn't generic. This isn't like, oh, I give everyone a Starbucks gift card. No, we need to know what matters to them. How do we communicate it? How do we give them that recognition? This goes back to that selection process, because I'm going to deeply understand them in that selection process. I'm going to notice how they learn in the integration process. All of this builds. This is not a skip, go, and collect 200 type wheel here, right? Once we've got people in our organization that we are able to recognize, that are consistently doing good, that are consistently adding to the organization, you're like, man, that is my go-to person, then we want to look for ways to elevate them within the organization, or more generally speaking. Growth is typically one of your best retention strategies. Think about the corporate world for a second, outside of real estate. Most people are looking to, what's the phrase? Climb the what? Corporate ladder. Yeah. Climb the ladder. What the heck does that mean? That means grow, advance, right? So how do we do that within real estate? Well, there's several ways. There's a ton of ways. Here's just a couple. We can offer new challenges. So for example, I have a team that I coach where one of their agents, one of their top producing agents, they just offered her the chance to open up a satellite office in an area that's closer to where she lives. She's earned the right? We're defining what those responsibilities look like, but now she has a new challenge. And a piece of that challenge is you're going to be in charge of recruiting to that satellite office, right? Projects can look like something different. Projects could be, I had a client who was very, very passionate about giving back to the community. And they had some members of their team that were wildly passionate about that as well. And they took on those projects kind of like an ALC might, right? As the culture committee might. And then, of course, there's training, coaching, sending your folks to family reunion, getting them plugged into a call like this. It doesn't have to be expensive. These calls are all free. What if you went through these calls next year, or you still have time? There's still tons of calls left, and said, hey, Marla, I was thinking about what we had talked about, and I've been so impressed with your work in X that I thought you might want to attend this call. Can I register you for it? How touching. Yes, absolutely. Right? You can plug them in with a MAPS coach. Send them to family reunion. I already mentioned that, right? Training and opportunities. And of course, and this is the one that everyone thinks about, we can offer them a career path within the organization. And I add this last, because not everyone is going to grow an organization large enough to have a director of sales or to have a director of lead gen. And if you're not planning on growing something that large, that's fine. There are other ways to elevate your people as well. Don't think, well, I'm not growing a big team, so I don't have anywhere to elevate them. You do through these opportunities up here, right? If they're not growing with you, chances are they will look to grow somewhere else. That's true across any industry, across any company. If they feel stuck, they're not going to stick around. So now we've selected the right people. We've made sure to integrate them into our world successfully. We've recognized when they've done good to such an extent that we're able to offer them opportunities for growth and elevation. So then what the heck does retention mean? This one's different. The way I define retain is to build a business that people don't want to leave. What does that look like? Well, obviously there's some basics here. That we're gonna foster an environment of trust and transparency. We're not going to have an environment where the emperor is wearing no clothes. Everyone familiar with that phrase? Where essentially I can't come up to Colleen and say, Colleen, listen, I know you're the owner of the team, but I have some concerns. That's a culture of trust and transparency, where I feel like I have a seat at Colleen's table, right? Yes, we're going to have regular check-ins on fulfillments, on challenges, on life goals. Show me that you care about me outside of just me making money for you. But then also something to think about here, and this is what I really mean when I say retain and building a business people don't want to leave, make your business sticky. Incentivize loyalty. If I'm offering profit share to my agents, my operations team, my whoever, well, then their income grows as the business grows. That's sticky. If I open a JV, a joint venture, title, insurance, mortgage, whatever, and I offer shares to my people, that's sticky. Not only because I don't want to leave it for the income, but also I feel recognized again, right? You've brought me into one of your business ventures. You could have kept all that pie for yourself, but you said, nope, I'm going to give some to Bill. That's special. If you want loyalty, create a workplace that's worth committing to. The cool thing is that Keller Williams, we have these tools built in to our frameworks. Profit share is something that we have talked about forever and ever and ever. Not a ton of teams dive into it, which is a shame because it does create stickiness. So quickly, I'm going to give you guys a quick example of how this shows up. Okay, so this is a real example from a team of mine that I coach. This is just an example of select, right? Because again, I don't like us skipping around. We're going to start with select. So what it was like, Matt, team agent, Rainmaker of mine that I work with, was bringing in agents quickly. He had a ton of business. He needed to farm it out. He needed to give it out to other agents. He was that person where people were going, Matt, please, I want to be a part of your team. I just love you so much. Please, please, please. And he was like, yeah, sure, fine. Yep, right? There was not a focus on alignment. And ultimately what happened was we had an unmotivated team, to say it nicely. We had a bunch of bumps on the logs, okay? Agents were sticking around, but they were not contributing. And it made it feel like Matt, the phrase that I used earlier of, gosh, I just wish I had another adult in the room, that's straight out of Matt's mouth, right? He felt like it's all on his shoulders, whether or not we hit our goals. So then we started looking at this more intensely. Matt realized he needed an intentional approach to the hiring. He needed to focus on shared values, and he needed, I will also say, a clear value proposition to the people that he was hiring and a clear set of expectations. So he took the loyalty loop, really clarified his selection process. We call it, if you work with me, you'll hear me say this a gazillion times over, Where's Waldo? Does everyone remember that book where you're looking for the dude? And it's really hard because there's a ton of things in there, but you know exactly who you're looking for so that when you actually find him, you go, I found him. There he is, right there. Because you know exactly what you're looking for. That's what he did. He reworked his selection process to prioritize commitment over just experience. And voila, here's where we are today. He has agents who share his values. They're invested and they work collaboratively as an actual team, not just a group of agents. Team members have stepped up. We noticed this year in particular that Matt's workload was able to come down. He's not having to take as many and convert as many of the pieces of business. And yet our profit grew. And the team has transformed genuinely from a cool group of people to this is a team of agents who are locked arms that are serious about moving things forward and can see where this is all going to take them as a group, right? So this is how it shows up. Now here's my question for you is as you look through the loyalty loop, and I'm going to bounce all the way back so that you can see it, which section of the loyalty loop do you need to stop, do not pass go, do not collect 200, and analyze? Because you can't jump into talking about elevation if we've got a screwed up selection process, right? We can't worry about recognition when we haven't integrated someone fully into our systems yet. So before you leave this call, I would like for you to write down what is one of the one area of the loyalty loop that I need to clarify over the next couple of weeks before 2026 kicks off. And I want to also note that you can take this and rework this with your current team members. This doesn't have to be, well, I'm already too far in. I've got 12 agents and 18 ops people, and so I guess I'm just, no. You can take this and go, okay, what do I need to do? My selection process is goofy. I need to reselect the members of my team. I need to take them back through the CV process. I need to better understand their motivation, yada, yada, right? Or maybe things are going pretty good. You got folks integrated, but you're like, gosh, I don't have a good recognition system. That's where I need to reset. Okay? So that is the question leaving this call, genuinely, is what part of the loyalty loop needs my attention most right now? Right now, while things are kind of quiet. Theoretically, I've got some teams that are having the craziest month of the year. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that. Before I open for a couple questions, if you have any, I also want to make mention of the fact that we do have Tech the Halls coming up. And in case you don't know anyone who is doing Tech the Hall calls or giving like a talk for Tech the Halls is what I'm trying to say. I just had Lauren Lucas on a private call this morning with my group's, my client's mastermind. And she mentioned that she would be on Tech the Halls. So if you're looking for AI, I know Lauren Lucas will be on there along with a ton of other great folks. So What questions do we have? What takeaways do we have? You can throw it in the chat box too if you're shy. Although half the room said you were high D's, so I don't think you're shy. Who's experienced some of the pain from this before? Yeah? A few people are nodding, got a couple hands up. Yep, yep. Has there been, those of you that have experienced, I'll leave you with this question. Has there been an earnest attempt to have a system around it, or has it been something that we've just kind of been going head first at and hoping that it gets better? Because most of us who have a successful business at this point, we do have a good system. The second, yeah, we do have a good system around our listings, our buyers, our client touch plans. This is no different. Lonnie, you've got your hand up, sir.
It was just great to have it reiterated about recognition. What gets recognized gets repeated. And for me, just being that high D, I have to be mindful not to allow my expectation to outweigh my appreciation for those that are doing the right thing. I want to appreciate that. Thank you. I want to
Oh,
recognize you
thank you.
for recognizing that.
Appreciate that. And that not allowing my expectations, gosh, I wish I had written that down. Not allow my expectations to get in the way of my appreciation. Is that what I heard?
Yes, marriage taught me that. Marriage, because I'm always wanting my wife to do more, and I said, man, I want to appreciate. Um, I want to double my appreciation outside of what my expectation is, if you allow me to
That's
say.
beautiful.
So I just think in life we have to be mindful, just not to allow our expectation to outweigh our appreciation.
That
For
is
me.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And I would also argue too, and Lonnie, I bet you and I would high five about this, that when you emphasize your appreciation, your expectation level, your undeserved expectation level starts to come down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's, what you mentioned about your marriage, many of us find that in raising children too, in your marriage, how you show up here is how you show up everywhere, right? Great question in the chat box too. At what point do you decide if maybe you need to redesign your current team? I would start by going internal on that. Great question. And asking, how have I shown up? I'm mean about this. I always flip it on us as the leaders here. How am I showing up as the leader? Am I setting the expectations that I need to be? And before I just go push the nuclear button and blow everything up, can I do what I was just mentioning earlier of doing some reset and some reframing with my current members before I go, this is garbage and blowing it up, right? So that's something I would definitely dig into is what conversations, what expectations need to be had with my current people before I go, this sucks, I'm out. Great question. Great question. Let's say you hire because you need an able body and you came to the conclusion that you don't share the same visions and goals. So same, yeah, that's kind of like a piggyback off of that first question. So what I would recommend with that, this goes back to the selection process and remembering that you can reselect with your current people. So I would go back to the career visioning and I would pull up that motivational interview, the one that has your four quadrants there, and it talks about like what's most important to them and what's showing up consistently in those categories to see, is there an alignment there that maybe we're missing because we've reached this level of frustration. Does that sound good? Great question. Guys, I want to be respectful of your time. Any other questions you have, you know where to find me, or maybe you don't. I'll throw this right. Oh, it's up there. You know where to find me. So there it is. You know where to find me. Please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm all ears. Bring it on. Please make sure that you look through the other calls that are available over the next couple of weeks. We've got some great topics that are being talked about. And then have a beautiful holiday. Take care, guys. Thanks so much.